This channel does not promote or encourage any illegal activities. All content provided by this channel is meant for education purpose only. Now we are just executing the Badger, and within a couple of seconds, we got a reverse callback from our target machine into our Brute Ratel C2 server. Today, I'm going to solve the Badger connectivity issue of Brute Ratel that someone has reported me in my Telegram group. So, let's start today's video. Let's give an executive permission to Brute Ratel Linux 64. And also to lib 64 Linux /commander. After it, just install NASM and MinGW. Which I have already installed on my system. Now let's run the Brute Ratel Linux 64. For the first time you run, you need to configure your admin username, password, and host address with the SSL certificate and the key provided by Brute Ratel. When we cancel it, we can see it has been auto-generated an autosave.profile file into the folder. So, whenever we want to reconnect it, we don't even need to run this whole command. We just have to run Brute Ratel Linux 64-ratel, and after dash, we just provide our save profile, and it will start the server again. Now on the other terminal, we need to just execute the commanderlinux.sh file with the help of bash. Now to the brute commander, just provide a C2 host address, username, and password, that whatever you set. Now, let's create a listener. So for that, you need to click on the C4 profiler, Add HTTP Listener. Let's add a listener bind host. Same for rotational hosts. And in case of URIs, you can add any endpoint that you want. Same to the port section. You can also edit this with your custom port. Now the main thing is here, which is common auth and one-time auth. The one-time auth represents that the Badger will connect to the Brute Ratel server only the first time to evade blue team detection. Means whenever any blue teamer run this Badger file into any sandboxed environment for the second time, it will never connect back to the server. But in case of common auth, then it will connect back to the server every time when it is executed. But for the demonstration purpose, we will only see the actions with the common auth. Now let's set the authentication key and open the OPSEC tab. And here we found a delay execution, which is 200 seconds. Just for the demonstration purpose, we are decreasing the values for faster execution. We are also decreasing the values of sleep and jitter for faster communication. Now let's save the listener configurations. Our listener is ready. Let's create a stageless Badger. For that, you can create a shellcode in .bin format, or you can simply make a .dll file. For now, I am building a .bin file. In the desktop, I am building a directory named Badger and saving the shellcode into it. Now let's open a terminal into this directory. And create a shellcode header file named shellcode.h from that badger.bin file. Our shellcode has been created. Now let's print 10 lines from its header. At this point, we need to create a loader in C to execute the shellcode in memory of our target machine. So for that, let's create a loader.c with the help of Pluma Editor. Step 1. We include windows.h for Windows API access, shellcode.h, which contains our raw shellcode bytes. Step 2. Hide the console. This is where the program starts running. We create a variable C, which stores cursor size and cursor visibility. Handle refers to a reference to the console. An std output handle refers to the output screen. Next, we read the current cursor settings using get console cursor info and store them in C. Then, we shrink the cursor by setting DW size equals 1, making it almost invisible. After that, we apply the changes using set console cursor info. Finally, we remove the console window using free console, so the program continues running in the background. Step 3. Allocate memory with VirtualAlloc. Now we copy the array name from our shellcode header and use its corresponding length variable, usually ending with _len, so VirtualAlloc knows how much memory to allocate. Memcommit, pipe mem reserve the memory and make it usable at the same time. Page execute read write allow the memory to read, write, and execute. Step 4. Copy shellcode. memcpy moves the shellcode into allocated memory. Step 5. Execute shellcode. This is a basic shellcode loader pattern. Modern security tools watch for this behavior, so this is great for learning and lab testing, but not stealth in real-world scenarios. Now, let's build the Badger. For that, just compile it with MinGW 32 GCC. Our Badger.exe is ready. Let's copy and paste it on our victim machine. Let's execute it. Wait for a couple of seconds. Badger connected. Now you can interact with it. You can explore more things in Arsenal section, like Process Manager, where we can find all information about running processes of our victim machine, and we can also manipulate them. Now let's take a look to the File Explorer. Where we can download, delete, and copy any file. Now let's create a stageless DLL Badger. It will take some time, so wait until it finishes. Now it has been created. So, let's copy the DLL file into our victim machine. Let's run the DLL file with run-dll-32 utility. Wait for some time. Here we got a callback from run-dll-32 utility. So, this is for today. Hope you might enjoyed this video. Put your thoughts in the comment. We'll be back soon with some new topics. So, goodbye and see you soon.